Okay, we will start. Okay, we will start. Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavatanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye Dorbhiryukta Chaturbhispadikamanimai Makshamalam Dadana Haste Naikena Padmam Sitamapi cha Shukam Pustakam Chaparena Bhasa Kunde Dushankas Padikamani Nibha Vasamana Samana Same Vagdevateyam Nivasatu Vadane Sarvada Suprasanna Kujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Maduraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikir Munisamhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shinvan Rama Katanatam Konayati Param Gatim Goshpadi Kritavarashim Mashaki Kritarakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Nilatmajam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakанjalim Bashpavari Paripurnalochanam Marutim Namatarakshasantakam Vaidehi Sahitam Suradrumatale Haime Mahamandape Madhye Pushpakamasane Manimaye Virasane Sustitam Agre Vachayati Prabhanjana Sute Tattvam Munibhya Param Vyakyantam Bharatati Viparivritam Ramam Bhaje Shamalam Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya Devyai Chatasya Janakatmajayai Namostu Rudrendra Yamanilebhyo Namostu Chandrarkamarudganebhyah Hari Om. Last week we saw how Indrajit, when he came into the battlefield on the command of Ravana, deployed the Brahmastra, and so the damage that was done for the Vanara armies, Rama and Lakshmana, was very heavy. Then also how of the remaining people who were surviving, Vibhishana and Hanuman, then they happened to see Jambavan. And Jambavan says if Hanuman is surviving, or it is as good as all of us are surviving. If Hanuman is not surviving, it is as good as we are all not surviving. Like that, he makes a very great statement there. Anyway, then Hanuman was asked to bring those four magic herbs, Mrita Sanjeevani, which is one which can wake up even a dead person. Vishalyakarani, all damages caused by Shalyas, the weapons, it can repair those wounds and so on. There is Vishalyakarani. Then Savarnakarani. Suvarna is gold. So Savarnakarani is something which makes your body shine back to its old luster and so on. And Sandhani. Sandhani is Sandhi is actually joint. So Sandhani is that herb which can work on the joints and fix the joints, broken joints, and so on. Now, these, these herbs, these stories, a lot of these stories have at one level, there is a certain level of detail, specifically in terms of these things. But my own reading of ancient Indian wisdom is all these stories are actually to communicate something deeper. So it's not just that you have all these herbs and everything is fixed. I think it is only saying that when we have a huge catastrophe in our lives, then there are four components which bring us back to um, normalcy, so to speak. Mrita Sanjeevani is, is that attribute that we should have in us, and that attribute which restores, brings life back to us. Brings life back to us, meaning that we are crestfallen, we are completely, you know, gone, and we have given up. And there is Mrita Sanjeevani in us, which brings us back. We come back to normalcy, even when the worst things happen in our life. This Prakriti Mata has endowed Mrita Sanjeevani in us. That after that trauma and after all that difficulties and those catastrophes, we are able to get back to life because we have our own karma to complete. That is the Sukshmartha of Mrita Sanjeevani. Then Vishalya Karani. In so many interactions that we have in our life, we are wounded. We are wounded by the actions, we are wounded by, deeply wounded by the speech. So many things happen in our life. And again, we have a Vishalya Karani within us. That is why, after a while, we are able to restore back. Somehow all these receipts at the back of our waves of thought, and then we are able to carry on with life. That is a Vishalya Karani that all of us have. Then you have Savarni, which is despite all the difficulties that we go through, again we are endowed with ability to spring back to our own ways of doing things, bringing our own positive energy into life and attending to things in life. So that to me is Savarna Karni. And Sandhani is connect. Life is not worth if you give up relations, give up your connections, give up all your associations just because something happened, because such people don't go too far in life. I think these kinds of ups and downs happen, and as these ups and downs keep happening in life, how do we restore back? So we have these four herbs in us. These four herbs are inherent in us, please understand. It is the Mrita Sanjeevani which brings us, we are completely gone, we are destroyed, we are flat because something bad happened to us. From there, we, rise back to action. That is the Mrita Sanjeevani and the other herbs. So, while these stories bring that sort of Stulartha, I think we must also look at the Sukshmartha, that these are herbs that uh, the Prakriti Mata has endowed in this jiva. That's how I think we should also understand these herbs. Otherwise, it all becomes fantasy. It all becomes at one level. Should we have to believe it? Should we not have to believe it? We get into a lot of problems. I think when we read a lot of this ancient Indian wisdom, um, we should develop this orientation also. We should look beyond what is being stated merely on the shlokas, because that has been the nature of and a style of narration, which we see predominantly in all these things. For example, I was just seeing reading, and as I was writing this book also on Indian knowledge systems, I end up reading quite a bit of these. There is this famous story that Chandran, Chandra was married to these 27 daughters of Daksha, and he was close to Rohini, and these kind of stories. So if you just take it at that level, then it introduces a whole lot of complexities. How can you have 27 wives? How do you actually manage the whole process? Why would you be close to only, say, Rohini and so on? So I was just reading, and in the astronomy, when I was reading astronomy, I saw a video also where, this was discussed by one professor of Indian origin, Raj Vedam and so on, where he's saying, astronomically speaking, as the moon is in its ecliptic, it goes around the space. There is as it passes through these different stars. Only with the Rohini, it is less than 5 degrees. I mean, there are some technical words which are being used. So quite often, it will look closer to Rohini. So that's an astronomical interpretation to this story, which perfectly matches with the story. So I'm not saying our ancestors intended, maybe they intended, they did not intend to tell this astronomical phenomenon through these stories. All these are possible. So that's why these stories are meant for larger principles and messages also to take from. So that is how I will look at these 4 herbs. Anyway, so that's what we saw last week. And this week we are going to see Indrajit. I think now there is a trail of sargas leading to the death of Indrajit. That's where he has gotten himself into in some ways. But now what is happening is he put on the Brahmastra and went away. Now Hanuman brought all these Mrita Sanjeevani and all that. That much we saw. So he returns back. Indrajit comes back, and Indrajit, what he does, we will see today, is he will bring a fake Sita and kill, and all that drama will happen. And then we will end with one sarga today where Lakshmana is venting out his frustration. He blasts Rama left, right, center. I have taken quite a few, some 14, 15 shlokas from that chapter, because this is one of the things why we need to read the epics. One of the reasons why we should actually closely read the epics, because the epics in some ways echo many things in our life. And by reading the epic carefully, we will understand some principles of life. So we are going to see one such sarga today, where Lakshmana is blasting Rama left, right, center for whatever he did. And there are some interesting messages there also. Anyway, so we will go through some of these things for the day. So Sarga 76 and 77, as Indrajit returned, and then they get to know that the Vanara army is back up, and all they are all alive and back and so on. So Ravana, as usual, gets quite jittery about it. So he sends a battery of leaders again. So the next 4 sargas, I am only going to list who killed whom, because it's all fighting and killing. So in sarga 76, 94 verses, shlokas are there. Basically, this sarga lists 5 leaders who are being killed. Kampana and Prajanga was killed by Angada. So there are some verses how they fought with one another, and it's all mere fighting verses. So I'm not really very keen to go through those shlokas. Then Sonitaksha was killed by Vivida. Yupaksha was killed by Mainda, and Kumbha was killed by Sugriva. So these are all things happening in the 76th sarga. The 77th sarga, 24 verses. In fact, the Kumbha and Nikumba are Kumbhakarna's sons actually. So 24 verses, Hanuman kills Nikumba in the battle. So all these are described in sargas 76 and 77. Then there are again 2 more sargas. 78th Sarga is a very short Sarga, 21 shlokas. Basically, Ravana sends Makaraksha for battle. And then in the next Sarga, which is 79th Sarga, Rama actually kills Makaraksha in the battle. So all these are described. So these four Sargas, 76 to 79, is just a laundry list of six Rakshasa leaders who are being killed. So that is the message in all these Sargas. So I'm just skipping these Sargas. We'll go to 80th Sarga. Now, after these six leaders are killed, Indrajit returns again. He sets out for the war again. There are 43 shlokas. The first 19 shlokas, again Ravana commands, he praises so highly of Indrajit and asks him to go and so this is the third outing, by the way. Remember in the first outing that happened, Indrajit put Nagastra and Garuda came. In the second outing, he put Brahmastra and Mrita Sanjeevani, all these four herbs. Vishalyakarani and, Sauvarnakarani and Santani, all that we saw. This is his third outing now. So every time he sets out, he does some special offerings, he does special pujas, obtains some special powers. He is known for it. And so the first 19 shlokas are about that. The next 24 shlokas, Indrajit basically attacks Rama and Lakshmana. Actually, he tells Ravana, I will today go and finish Rama and Lakshmana once and for all and come. He makes such a very ferocious, claim and shouts and all that, and he comes. So it's a fierce battle. But the point is, his Ratha is invisible. He is also invisible. So this is not a level playing ground, actually speaking. Not a level playing ground because he is not visible. The Ratha is also not visible. So that's the kind of situation. You'll see some shlokas here. Pradakshinavartashikaha taptahataka sannibaha avistat pratijagraha pavaka swayamurtitaha. Pradakshina avartashikaha taptahataka sannibaha havis tat pratijagraha pavakaha swayam uttitaha. Pavakaha swayam uttitaha. The god of fire, Pavaka. See, Pavaka is the name for fire, because one which purifies. That's why it's called Pavaka. In fact, Vayu is called Pavana. That's also a purification in one way. But Pavaka is actually fire god. Agni is Pavaka. So Pavakaha Swayam Uttitaha. He came directly in person. Havis Pratijagraha. He received the Havis. Havis Pratijagraha. How? And the first line describes how was this? The whole thing looked like. Pradakshina Avarta Shikaha. So it's all surrounded by flames. Tapta Hataka Sannibaha. It's all shining very bright like gold. Right? Hataka Sannibaha. Tapta. It's like all this, when the gold is put in fire and then cleaned up, it is so clean and it's so shining. So it is a description of the Pavaka. The way he came and Swayam Uttitaha Pratijagraha Havis Tat Havis Pratijagraha. So Havis is Napumsakalinga, Tat Havis Pratijagraha. So he received that Havis personally, which in the Indrajit offered. Kutva Nim Tarpayitvata Devadanava Rakshasan Aruroharata Sreshtam Antardhanagatam Shubham Hutva Agnim Hutva Tarpayitva. So Tarpayitva Ata, then after, thereafter, and Tarpayitva means to satisfy. Tarpanam means satisfying. Tarpayitva means satisfying someone. So whom did he satisfy? Deva, Danava, Rakshasan. Devas, Danavas and Rakshasas. And then the question is, where is this Agni coming then? Why is this Agni? Now that is what the first mantra of Rigveda itself says. Agnimi ile purohitam yajnasya deva ritvijam hota aram ratna dhatamam. Agni is the hotara, Agni is the ritvik, Agni is the vastu. Agni is the receiver of any ahuti meant for anybody. So that's why Prajapate idannamama, right? They say, Vishnave idannamama, Rudra idannamama. Whomever you want to give, Agni takes it. Agni is the courier. So Kutva Agnim. So it gave it to Agni. So Agni has taken it personally. So it will, for whom? It is for satisfying Devas, Danavas and Rakshasas, so that he can get their blessings actually. Having done that, Aruroha. Aruroha means alighted. Arohana. Arohana is alighting up. Avarohana is alighting down. Sangeeta, they say Arohana and Avarohana. So Aruroha Ratha Sreshtam. This great Ratha in his Ratha. And what kind of a Ratha is that? Antardhana Gatam Shubham. It has the capability to go inside, means it becomes invisible. It can become invisible. He has that kind of a special Ratha in which he can go invisible. So Antardhana Gatam Shubham Ratam Aruroha. So Indrajit every time does some oblations, get blessings and come for the war. So he does the Maya Jal war. That is his trademark actually. So some shlokas here. Naiva Jatala Nirgosho Nachanemi Kurasvanaha Sushruve Charatastasya Nacharupam Prakashate. Naiva Jya means arc. In fact, the word geometry, which we use today, has come from, this is the word Arabs used. And Arabs learnt it from Indians. And in India, in the 2nd century AD and up to 5th century AD, we have perfected the art. It's called Jyamiti. It is called Jyamiti. Jya means arc. So it is the science of arc. Geometry is what? It's all about arc and, cone and circular and all that. So Jyamiti became geometry. So that Jya, here Jya means bow, because the arc is bow. No? So Jyatala Nirgosha, the sound is not his hand which is operating the bow, that sound is Naiva. Nachanemi Kurasvanaha. The wheel of the Ratha as it is running, right? That was also not heard, right? No, Nemi is the wheel. Kurasvanaha is that hoof of the horses actually, right? Na sushruve charatastasya, as they are going. Tasya, as they were going, the sound was not heard. Nacha rupam prakashate. So he was also not visible. The sound of the chariot was not heard. The Ratha is invisible. So it is a perfect Maya Jal with which he is actually trying to fight. That is what is coming through this shloka. Nasya vegagatim kaschit nacharupam dhanusharan nachanyadvididam kinchit suryasyeva brasamplave. Na asya vegagatim kaschit na cha rupam dhanuhu Sharan. Na cha anyat vividam. Okay. Kinchit Suryasya eva abra samplave. That is what the shloka is saying. Na asya vegagatim kaschit. No, we are not, you cannot make sense of what speed he is traveling. Na asya vegagatim kaschit. Nacha rupam, na dhanuhu, which we have already seen. His rupa is also not there, not to be seen. Dhanu, not his bow. Sharan, not his arrows also. Nacha anyat viditam. Like that, nothing he could viditam kinchit. So nothing else was visible. This fellow was fighting, but the opponent is not able to see where he is and what he is doing and so on. And how was it? And it was like Suryasya eva abra samplave. Suryasya abra is a synonym for mega, for the rain-bearing cloud. So just like the sun, disappear on and off. You see, this Suryasya eva abra samplave is brought only to tell us that this fellow in between makes himself available and in between he disappears. It's not that he's permanently not visible. Suddenly you find him here, when you put an arrow here, he is there. He is invisible, he has moved. That's why that Suryasya abra samplave, that analogy is being brought here, just to tell us that how the sun is visible for some time, then it goes behind the clouds, again comes out, visible for some time, again it goes out. So like that, he was visible off and on. That is what is being told. Lakshmanastu susankruddo bhrataram vakyam abravit brahmastram prayokshyami vadartam sarva rakshasan. Lakshmanah tu susankruddah Brataram Vakyam Abravit Brahmastram Prayokshyami Vadartam Sarva Rakshasam. Very simple Sanskrit. Look at it's so simple. Lakshmana tu, as I told you, tu means is just added for the number of aksharas to become 8. Indeed, actually, all that we can say. So Lakshmana tu Susankruddaha. There are two upasargas there. Kruddaha is angry. Sankruddaha means samyak angry. Susamyak angry, even more. Again, all these are extra aksharas added so that that meter is taken care. Kavis always have, when you read a poetic verse, you have to understand these kinds of additional things are required for them. Otherwise, very difficult to compose an Anushtup Chandas with all the required rules of the game and so on. So there are two upasargas. Su is one upasarga. Sam is another upasarga. The sam becomes sang because ka is following after im. So in sandhi it becomes sang. So susankruddah. So he was very angry. Lakshmana was very angry on seeing this Mayajal going on. So Bhrataram, which means Ramam, Vakyam Abravid, he told. And what did he say? Brahmam astram prayokshyami. Let me put Brahmastra. Vadartam sarva rakshasam. Let me finish off all these rakshasas one go. I will put Brahmastra. Is what he said. And what did Rama reply for it? That's a very important thing. Because this Indrajit came and put Brahmastra. Whereas Rama never allowed Lakshmana to put Brahmastra. Look at what he says. Ayudhyamanam prachannam pranjalim sharanagatam palayantam pramattam va natvam hantum iharhasi. Ayudhyamanam prachannam pranjalim sharanagatam palayantam pramattam va. Up to this, they are all Dvitiya Vibhakti. They are all objects. They are all pointing to somebody. Object points to the action directed to us is called object. So the action here is hantum, killing. So it is talking about the objects which are going to be killed, or people. In this case, it is people who are going to be killed. That's the Dvitiya Vibhakti. Ayudhyamanam. Some people are not fighting. Why are you killing them? Yuddhyamanam we can kill. Ayudhyamanam we cannot kill. But if you put Brahmastra, it will finish off everything. So Ayudhyamanam, those who are not fighting, okay, and then Prachannam, those who are hiding, right, somewhere, because they are afraid and they are hiding. Then Pranjalim, Anjali, this is the Anjali Mudra. So Pranjalim, Sharanagatam. So please leave me, I don't want to, leave me like that. There are people like that. Pranjalim Sharanagatam, Palayantam. Palayantam is those who are running away out of fear and giving up, running away. It's called Palayanam, right? Palayantam, Pramattam. Those who don't have a stable mind, they are Unmatas or Pramattas. Pramattam. He says, Na Tvam Hantum Iha Arhasi. You cannot kill like that. You cannot kill, you may have a problem with Indrajit. You may have a problem with people who are all fighting along with Indrajit. Whether as per the, rules of the game, you can kill them. But if you put Brahmastra, the whole thing is gone. This is like these jokers in 1945 in the Second World War. They just put atom bomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And for 50 years, we saw the people bore the brunt of that nonsense which somebody did. That is what Rama is saying. You can't do it. I mean, that thoughtlessness. He says you can't do it. While Indrajit thoughtlessly did that, whereas Rama is sadhu, dharma vigrahan, So he is the embodiment of dharma. Sadhu dharma parakramaha. So he won't allow. That's why today that nuclear button, that's why you should not have nuclear states. And even if you have nuclear states, who keeps the button is very important, because if you have unmattas and idiots like that, the world can be destroyed in no time. 1-2 bombs in Nagasaki and Hiroshima can create so much of ruckus. So that is the statesmanship. That is the restraint that is required. Only when you have restraint, then you can have mass weapons. Otherwise, mass weapons are very, very dangerous, and it will destroy one's own thing, leave alone others. So Rama is saying no. There are a lot of people who are not directly engaged in the war. You cannot put one Brahmastra and while killing Indrajit will also kill so many people. That's not on. So that is the Dharma Sukshma, that is the subtlety that you are seeing here. I thought I wanted to show this. 81st Sarga. Now Indrajit does some, acts which are not, commensurate to statesmanship. He brings a fake Sita and kills her amidst the army. So there are 34 verses here. First 13 verses, Indrajit returns. In fact, after doing all these Mayajal fighting, eating, he goes away. Then he comes with this idea, because I think he is also finding with so much of Mayajal, he is not able to get at these two brothers. So he is also now trying to see, looks like this is not working, what do I do? So he goes back and with all his fake Mayajal ideas, he comes with a fake Sita and vows to kill her. And Hanuman, on seeing Hanuman felt the fake was so original for Hanuman. So Hanuman was very unhappy. He actually, as a conversation, he shouts at Indrajit. He says, you are a very lowly person to do these kinds of actions. If you do like this, you will have consequences. He tells him, don't do and all that. But Indrajit kills the fake Sita in front of the Vanara troops. That's what is enacted in this Sarga. We'll see some of those shlokas. Indrajittu tato drishtva Bhratarau Rama Lakshmanau Ranayabhyudyutau Yudyatau Virau Mayam Pradushkaro Tada. So Indrajit went, prepared this fake Sita idea and came. So as he came, he saw that these people were all well in position. Rama and Lakshmana were all set to fight him. That's what he saw. Indrajit tu, again there is a tu here, just it is added. Indrajit tu tataha drishtva bhratarau Rama Lakshmanau. So having seen Rama and Lakshmana, the two brothers, and how were there? So there are a lot of dvivachanam. You see here, bhratarau is a dvivachana, Rama Lakshmanau is a dvivachana, Ranaya Yuddhathau is a dvivachana. Virau is a dvivachana. So all the four are combined now. They are all adjectives. This is how we have to understand. All these are in the same vibhakti. Therefore, they are all adjective telling the same thing. So Bhratarau, the two brothers, Rama Lakshmanau, Rama and Lakshmana, Ranaya Yuddhau, quite ready to fight in the war. Virau, the great valiant, fighters. All these are descriptions of these two brothers. Having seen them, Mayam Pradushkaro Tada. So he started his deceptive acts again on seeing them. Then Mohanartam tu sarvesham buddhim kritva sudurmatihi hantum sitam vyavasitaha vanarabhimuko yayau. Mohanartam. Mohanartam, moha means delusion or cheating. So Mohanartam means in order to delude, in order to cheat. Sarvesham Mohanartam tu, again there is a tu here. Sarvesham Mohanartam tu, in order to confuse and delude everybody. Sudurmatihi, Durmatihi, Matihi, Durmatihi, bad mind. Sudurmatihi, one more Upasarga saying, well means his badness is so well, which is thoroughly bad. Sudurmatihi, Buddhim Kritva, Mohanartam Sarvesham Mohanartam Buddhim Kritva, with a mind that I will confuse all of them. This fellow, what he did, Sitam Hantum Vyavasitaha, he was ready to kill Sita. Vanara Abhimuko Yayau. Yati means goes. Yayau means he went. So he went towards the Vanara army. He, sort of went in his Ratha towards the Vanara army with this idea that in front of all of them, he will kill this fake Sita. With this idea, he went. Tam nirikshya muhurtam tu maitili madhyavasya cha babuva chiradrishtva hi tena sa janakatmaja. Hanuman, that's what he's saying. Tam nirikshya, iksh means to see. Nirikshya samyak, properly. Muhurtam nirikshya, seeing that person who is in the Ratha of Indrajit, Muhurtam nirikshya tam Maithilim adyavasya cha. Hanuman quickly thought this must be Maithili. Why did he think so? And Babuva, he was in great despair. I mean, that Babuva means simple meaning of Babuva is he was like that. But here meaning is not like that. He was in despair. We have to add that meaning there. Babuva. And how did he know that it was Maithili? It says, Tena sa janakatmaja achira drishta. Just before only he saw, no? He came in Sundarakanda, he came and then he saw. So because he has seen Maithili very recently, the way she was, Ekaveni, Dara, Alpabhagya, all those descriptions are also coming here. I am not showing those shlokas. So on seeing that person in Indrajit Ratha, since he has seen Sita recently, because he went to in the Sundarakanda, we saw that he was able to recognize that it was Sita. He could not see it was fake. He thought it was indeed Sita. That's what happened for Hanuman. Tadva narabalam drishtva ravani krodha murchitaha kritva vikosham nistrimsham murdni sitam akarshayat. Tat Vanara Balam Drishtva, on seeing this army, Vanara army, Ravani is Ravanasya Apatyam Puman Ravani, who is Indrajit. It's called Taddita. Like say Indian. Those who are born and having a passport, Indian passport is called Indian. So like that Ravani, called Taddita. Use one to attach a property to one and use it to tell the other. Use some property to India and call somebody Indian. Dasharati. Dasharathasya apatyam pumani Dasharati. So you're using Dasaratha and telling Rama. Like that Ravani. You are using the word of Ravana, but you are attaching a property called son and turn the word into something which actually means Indrajit. Krodha murchitaha Ravanihi. This fits of anger with which this Indrajit. Vikosham. Kosha is cover, no? So vikosham means, V means actually without. Means you are taking it out. Vikosham nistrimsham kritva. So having removed the sword or that thing out of the kosha, Sitam murdrim akarshayat. He held his hair and pulled him towards him. That's what he did. He is enacting this act, this particular thing. On seeing that, there is a verbal duel which happens between Hanuman and Indrajit. So, couple of shlokas from there. Diktvam papa samacharam yasyate matiri drishi nisham sanarya durvritta kshudra papa parakrama anaryasye drisham karma grinate nasti nirgrina. Dik means it's a expression of shock actually. If you have to describe an expression of shock in Sanskrit, you have to say dik. In fact, in Ramayana we saw it when Vishwamitra wanted to take Vasishta's Nandini and go. It was not possible. Then he said, Dik balam kshatra balam. Tejo balam, Brahma balam, Tejo balam, Dik. There also the Dik will come. Dik is an expression of shock. So Hanuman had an expression of shock because he thought it was Sita, and this fellow has removed his sword from the bag, from his cover of the sword. So the imminent act of killing is going to happen. So he was Dik. Then he says, Papa samacharam tvam yasyate matihi idrishi. You are indulging in only a person who is indulging in a bad act, his mind will work like this. Matihi idrishi. Idrishi mati te. Your mind works like this. Papa samacharam tvam. Because you are very wicked. Nishamsa anarya. Nishamsa anarya durvritta. So there are three things he says. Nishamsa is cruelty. Anarya. It is not arya. Anarya. This is not an apt way of doing people of culture. Anarya bhava. Durvritta. The vritta is dur. It is a sinful conduct. So you are, what you are doing has no this thing. It's cruel. It's very vulgar and it is very mean. It is durvritta. Kshudra papa parakrama. This is kshudra papa parakrama. This parakrama is very kshudra. It's a very low level act. And you are trying to do that. Anaryasya idrisham karma. Anaryasya idrisham. Anaryasya idrisham. That is in Sandhi. A plus E becomes A. Anaryasya idrisham is anaryasya idrisham karma. Grinate. This is, it's a very barbaric act. There is no pity in this. There is no pity. Te nasti, grina te nasti, a nirgrina. You are a person with no pity. That's why you are doing an action which has no pity in it. It's like that Hanuman is saying. Sitam hatva tunachiram jivayishyasi katanchana vadarha karmana nena mama hastagato hyasi. Sitam hatva, by killing Sita like this, tu, again there is a tu there. Sitam hatva tu, nachiram jivishyasi. You will not live for long. Katanchana, by any stretch of imagination, if you kill Sita, because he thought it was Sita, if you kill Sita, you are not going to live for too long. Let me tell you that. Anena karmana vadarha. Vadarha karmana anena. You have to be killed. You are deserved to be a death penalty for this. Vadarha karmana anena. Mama hastagato hyasi. In my hands you will be killed. I will kill you personally if you and indulge in this act. Like that, Hanuman was trying to tell all these to Indrajit. Tameva muktva rudatim. Then he replied something. We have skipped all that. We have gone straight to this final act. Tameva muktva rudatim Sitam Maya. Tameva muktva rudatim Sitam Maya Mayim Chatam. No, there is some. Tameva mukta rudatim Sita Maya Mayim Chatam Shita Dharena Khadgena Nijaganendrajit Swayam. So having said something in reply to Hanuman something, evam uktva tam rudatim mayamayim sitam tam, that mayamayi Sita who was crying, tam sitam mayamayim rudatim sitam, shitadharena khadgena nijagana Indrajit. In Sandhi, it became Nijaganendrajit. A plus E becomes A again. So it becomes Nijaganendrajit. Basically, Nijagana Indrajit Swayam. With his own that Khadga, sword, he chopped off his, killed that Sita. And how did he kill? Exactly, that comes in the second sloka. Yajnopavita margena Chinnatena tapasvini Sa pritivyam pratishroni Papata priya darshana. Yajnopavita. See, Yajnopavita is what, this cross belt. This Janivar that they say in Kannada, right? That the Brahmins and all those people wear. That is the axis which is being described. So in that axis, Yajnopavita margena chinna, cut. Tena, tapasvini chinna. Tena tapasvini Yajnopavita margena chinna. So she was axed in that diagonally like that. Then what happened? Sa Pritivyam Pritishroni Papata Priyadarshana. Sa Pritishroni Priyadarshana. These are all the descriptions of that Maya Sita. Sa Papata. Basically, she fell on the ground. That's what he enacted, this lowly act. So this he did in the company of the Vanara army in front of Hanuman and all these people. Rama and Lakshmana was not here, they were elsewhere. In the broad daylight, so-called broad daylight, in front of the Vanara army, this fake Sita was killed. So Hanuman was shell-shocked. So Hanuman didn't know what to do. He was in a state of shock, as well as the other Vanara armies also. So Hanuman was actually leading them at that point in time. So Hanuman said that let's go back and tell this to Rama and Sugriva, and let us see what they say. We'll have to see. They were in a great state of shock actually. That's what the first 22 slokas are all about in this sarga. And then in the meanwhile, Indrajit reaches Nikumbila mountain and prepares for a sacrifice again there. So he goes away. Tyaktva pranan vicheshtanto Rama priya chikirshavaha yannimittam hi yuddhyamo hatasa janakatmaja. Hanuman is saying, Pranan tyaktva vicheshtantaha Rama priya chikirshavaha. He says, Rama priya chikirshavaha. Chikirsha, in Sanskrit, chikirsha. This is a very special word. Bubuksha, pipasa, susrusha. These are all double. You see, pipasa, pakara comes twice. Bubuksha, bu comes twice. Susrusha, shru comes twice. Then some grammatical operation. Here, ka comes twice. Kr means to do. Chikirsha, it's actually krikrisha, it should be, but it is not easy to pronounce. So there are some grammatical rules called kos chuhu. So the ka will become cha. That's why it becomes chikirsha. Basically, all these are called descended dative form in English. Chikirsha means desirous of doing. That's the meaning. Pipasa means hunger. That's what we translate it in English. Pipasa means desirous of drinking, which means I am thirsty. Bubuksha means desirous of eating, which means I am hungry. So that is this, Susrusha means not helping somebody. Susrusha means desirous of hearing. So how do you help others? You should hear what they say. If they say something, you do something else, that is not Susrusha. So that's called desirous. So Chikirsha means Priya Chikirsha, Rama Priya Chikirsha. They were desirous of, helping the cause of Rama, for which Tyaktva Pranan Vicheshtentah. We have given up all our lives because we wanted to do something which Rama is, what is pleasing to Rama. Yat Nimittam Hi Yuddhyamaha. But all this we were doing for what? Yat Nimittam Hi Yuddhyamaha. We were fighting for what cause? Sa Janakadmaja Hata. She, that's a daughter of Janaka, has been killed. So our whole purpose is defeated. This is what Hanuman feels actually. Then he says, Ima martam hi vijnapya Ramam sugrivam cha tau yat pratividasyete tat karishyamahe vayam. Imam artam hi vijnapya. Let us go and tell this. This message we will go and tell. Ramam Sugrivam evacha. We will tell Rama and Sugriva, this is the situation. This is what has happened. Tau, it's a Dvivachana, which means Rama and Sugriva. Tau. Tau yat pratividasyate. Pratividasyate. So what they are actually commanding us, what they are asking us to do, tat karishyamahe vayam. So Hanuman was also shell-shocked for a moment. He didn't know what to do. Although he said, I will kill you and all that, but he was in a state of shock on seeing it. So he said, let's go back to Rama and Sugriva, tell him what it is, and whatever they are telling, we will do that. So he was also crestfallen in some ways. That's why he took a position like this. Then comes the next sarga, which is a very, very important sarga. I've taken quite a few shlokas from that sarga now. 83rd sarga, they go and tell, Hanuman goes and tells the news. On hearing the news, Rama faints. And then his ashwasana happens, he gets up and so on. And then, that's the first 13 shlokas. Then there are about 31 shlokas in which Lakshmana is quite very angry. He was very angry at Indrajit. He was also angry at Rama. He was very frustrated with a few things that happened, and he said this whole dharma has become futile. He says all this dharma he doesn't believe anymore. And then he reprimands Rama for all his past actions. He blasts Rama left, right, center in this sarga. See, what is very important is, we have to read these. That is the reason we have to read these epics. Because these itihasas are not, telling something which is all so textbookish and all that. While it does give us, the ideal principles of life and so on, but it also tells us what kind of emotions we will all go through in life. When things happen in life, we all go through emotions, and what kind of emotions we go through and all that also is so beautifully portrayed. So just as Arjuna was the representative of us in Gita, Arjuna asked questions, but the questions are not for Arjuna alone. The kind of questions that Arjuna asked are the questions that was asked on behalf of the entire humanity. In the same way, what I see in Ramayana is this character called Lakshmana is actually a character which brings a lot of issues which are all for Laukikas like us. If you look at, if you recall, in Ayodhya Kanda, the first 39 sargas, because the 39 sarga only Rama takes up the chariot and Sumantra, takes him out of Ayodhya. The first 39 sargas, Lakshmana actually plays a devil's advocate. He takes a different role. And what is the Tatparya there? The Tatparya is Lakshmana is in a way representative of so many things that happens in life. That's in many places we are seeing it in Ramayana. So this is one other place. Lakshmana was quite upset with Rama. And he was quite upset with what happened because Sita is now dead and she has fallen there. He was very upset with Rama. He was very upset with the way things are happening. So there are about 30 shlokas. I've taken 14, 15 shlokas out of it just to give you a sense of what he is saying, because these are things which we also need to know. So look at these shlokas first. Yadya dharmo bhaved bhuto ravano narakam brajet bhavamscha dharma sanyuktaha naivam vyasanam apnuyat. We have to do a padacheda, otherwise we'll sometimes miss things. Yadya dharmo. You know what it means? Yadi adharmo. That has become in Sandhi Yadya dharmo. Yadi adharmo bhaved bhutaha ravanaha narakam vrajet. If it is true that Ravana was the embodiment of unrighteousness, adharma, then he should go to hell. Narakam vrajet. Bhavan, in the second line, Bhavan cha becomes Bhavams cha in Sandhi. Bhavan cha. Dharma sanyuktaha. Whereas you are Dharma sanyuktaha. Ramo vigrahavan dharmaha. Sadhu dharma parakramaha. So if you are an embodiment of Dharma, naivam vyasanam apnya. This kind of a thing should not have happened to you. Why did it happen? If you were a follower of Dharma, if you are so, completely this thing on Dharma, this should not happen to you. Why did it happen? This was the first thing which Lakshmana is asking. Bhavanscha dharma sanyuktaha na evam vyasanam. Na evam means na evam. Na evam vyasanam apnuyat. Such a person should not get into this kind of a trouble. That's the first observation he makes. Tasya cha vyasana bhavat vyasanam cha gate tvayi dharmo bhavatya dharmascha paraspara virodhinau. Tasya cha vyasana abhavat. Vyasana bhavat. All these we have to do the sandhi vicheda. Vyasana bhavat becomes vyasana abhavat. It is savarna dirgha. A plus a becomes a. So tasya cha vyasana abhavat. Tasya means Ravanas. For Ravana, what happened? Vyasanasya abhavaha. He did not get any trouble. Tasya cha vyasanasya abhavat. Vyasanam cha agate tvayi. For you have got trouble. Trouble has come to you. That fellow has not got a trouble. You have got a trouble. You all this time all our effort has gone to dogs. From Janasthana we have come here all the way and it is gone. That's why he was very annoyed with what was happening, not knowing it is fake. That is a different thing. We all do it in our life also. We don't know the larger picture actually. So he says, Vyasanam cha agate tvai. In your case, you have got into trouble. So what happens now? Dharma bhavati adharmascha. So bhavatya dharmascha. That sandhi vicheda if you do, dharma bhavati adharmascha. As though the fellow who does adharma will become dharma, get dharma. Fellow who does dharma will get adharma. That is what is happening now. He is saying, paraspara virodhi now. This dharma and adharma seem to have interchanged the role. I am very confused. All this is happening like this. Is what is first Lakshmana saying. He is just venting his frustration on seeing what has happened. Then, dharmanopalabe dharmam adharmam chapya dharmataha yadya dharmena yujyeyuhu yujyeyuhu yeshwadharma pratishtataha. We have to do a lot of pada vicheda, otherwise sandhi vicheda. Dharmena upalabet adharmam. That is the first part. Dharmena upalabet adharmam. Adharmam cha api adharmatah. Dharmena upalabet dharmam. Sorry, not adharmam. Dharmena, because there is upalabet dharmam. Dharmena upalabet dharmam. Adharmam cha api adharmatah. That is the first line. Then yadi adharmena, yadya dharmena, that becomes yadi adharmena yujyeyuhu. Yujyeyur, you are seeing there. That ir will become, if you do a sandhi vicheda, the rakara will become the visarga. So yadi adharmena yujyeyuhu yeshu adharmaha pratishtitaha. So what is he saying? Dharmena upalabet dharmam. By dharma, people should get dharma. By practicing dharma, you should get dharma. Adharmam cha api adharmatah. If somebody does adharma, he should get only adharma. The effect of adharma must come to him. Yadi adharmena yujyeyuhu, right? Yeshu dharmaha pratishtitaha. Yadi adharmena yujyeyuhu yeshu adharmaha pratishtitaha. So is what happens now? Somebody is practicing adharma and they get dharma. Dharmena yujyeyuhu. Yadi adharmena yujyeyuhu yeshu dharmaha adharmaha pratishtitaha. So those who do unrighteousness should get only unrighteous things. That is what it is being told. Now the second shloka he says, Nadarmena viyujyeran adharma ruchayo janah dharmena charatam tesham tata dharma palam bhavet. Na dharmene viyujyeyuhu, those who don't go along with dharma, viyujyeyuhu etat no viyujyerat na adharma ruchayo janaha dharmena acharatam tesham tata dharma palam bhavet. So dharmena acharatam tesham tata dharma palam bhavet. Those who follow the dharma, the fruit of dharma must accrue to them. So both the shlokas are saying that good people must get the virtues of the good, bad people must get the bad effects of their bad dharma. That is what is to be happening. Is it really happening is what he is asking by stating these twice again and again, stating this. In the first he said, if you do adharma, you should get adharma. In the second he says, if you do dharma, you should get dharma. That's what he is stating in these two shlokas. Why did he state all that? He is asking, does dharma really exist or not? He really had a doubt. That's why he stated those axioms first. Now, what is he saying? Adrishta pratikarena avyaktena sata sata katam shakyam param praptum dharmena rivikarshanaha. Adrishta pratikarena avyaktena asata. So there are three properties there. Adrishta pratikarena. This dharma is not directly visible. Please understand. Dharma is adrishta. It doesn't manifest like this. Dharma doesn't say, I have now dharma has come. It doesn't say like that. It is adrishta pratikarena, abhyaktena. It is unmanifested. It doesn't manifest in any physical form. And so it looks like it is asata. Sat means existence. Asat means non-existence. So he says, it looks like by all these, because of these properties, it looks like dharma doesn't exist. He says, katam shakyam param praptum, sata katam shakyam param praptum. So those who follow actually dharma, how can they get param praptum, something else? If I follow dharma, I should get only dharma. I follow dharma and I get something else. Katam shakyam param praptum. How can Sita be killed? That is his point. You are all following dharma, but Sita has been killed now. So this dharma, by definition, it is adrishtam and adrishta pratikara and abhyakta, but looks like it is asata. It doesn't even exist. Dharmena Ari Vikarshanaha. Using dharma, you actually conquer all the aris, your enemies. I am now asking you. You are saying all that, but it looks like this dharma doesn't exist. It has become asat. Asata, that's the third property it has happened. It has become as though it is non-existent. Why? Because you are getting something else. It doesn't add up. 2 plus 2 doesn't add up to 4, is what he said there. Then Yedi satsyat satam mukya na satsyat tava kinchana toya yedi drisham praptam tasmatannopapadyate. Yedi, if satam sat syat, if good people should only get good, if that is the fundamental core principle of dharma, hey mukya, na satsya tava kinchana, you cannot get asat. Na asat syat tava kinchana, not even an iota of nonsense you should get. Okay? Toya yedi idrisham praptam, but you have actually, finally what has happened? Your patni is gone now. Toya yedi idrisham praptam, and with this I am coming to a final conclusion. Tasmat, therefore, tat na upapadyate. Tat is actually dharma. He says, for me, dharma doesn't manifest, exist. Sorry. You hell with your dharma. He is going to say that. He is going to say to Rama, hell with your dharma. You spoiled everybody in the world. He really, gives back to Rama with all his might. He, Lakshmana pounces back. These are all the preamble discussions to tell what he wants to say finally. So in the first 4 shlokas, what did we see? Lakshmana established the axiom that good people must get good things, bad people must get bad things, but things are messed up. He was very soft in the first 4 shlokas. He said it looks as though dharma and adharma has changed roles. Whereas in these 4 shlokas, 2 shlokas, what he is saying is, on seeing what is happening to you and what is happening to Ravana, I have a feeling dharma does not really exist. Sorry. It is adrishta pratikarena abhyakta, and it has become asata also. It is non-existence, because if I go by the logic of what has happened to you and make a conclusion out of it, according to me, dharma doesn't exist. Sorry. So he has come that far now. Then he gives a suggestion. He takes a view. Look at what he is saying. Atava durbala klibo balam dharmo nu vartate durbalo hrita maryado nasevya iti me matihi. Atava, either that has happened or there is another thing. Dharmaha durbalaha klibaha. This dharma has become very weak. Durbalaha. It has become klibaha. It doesn't have the courage. You know, the klaibya in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, you know, he says, Klaibyam masma gamapartha. Tvayi etat na upapadyate. Klaibya is faint-heartedness, or covered, not wanting to take action. So this dharma has been reduced to that level now. Dharma hai, durbala hai, kliba hai. It has become very covered. It has bhala, it has no bhala, right? Bhalam anuvartate. So now we should take on might. Might means dadagiri. If I had used the modern word, these rowdyism, gundaism. Balam anuvartate, dharmaha balam anuvartate, durbalo hrita maryadaha, this durbalaha hrita maryadaha, all these are about dharma. Right? It says, it has no strength, and it has lost all that vitality, because, that's what I am seeing now. Na sevya itime matihi. I think such a dharma must not be followed. Tasya seva na avasyam, na avyakaha. Na sevyaha iti me matihi. So I don't think we should follow dharma. All these dharma are all, humbug. It's all fine to talk. In modern people, a lot of people talk only this. No, a lot of us, we say all this. We talk, give great lectures on dharma, and finally we say, no, dharma is all fine, but I think reality kicks in. That's what we say. Reality kicks in, and reality kicks in, we have to do what needs to be done. So like that, he is getting into that kind of a discussion. He says, na sevyaha iti me matihi. I don't think this dharma is required. Give it up. No point. Then he says, balasya edi che dharmaha gunabhuta parakramaihi dharmam utsrujya vartasva yata dharme tata bale. Right? He says, dharmaha balasya gunabhutaha edi chet. Suppose this dharma becomes subordinate to dadagiri. Balasya gunabhutaha edi dharmaha chet. That's what it says. Balasya edi chet dharmaha gunabhutaha parakramaihi. Right? If you make dharma subordinate to gundaism or dadagiri or whatever, dharmam utsrujya vartasva yatha dharmo tata bale. Just like you had such a faith in dharma, no? Yatha dharme tata bale. Dharmam utsrujya, give up dharma, have that faith that you have now in dharma, in the same way you have faith on this dadagiri. That's what he is saying. He is saying, dharma musrujya vartasva. You now change your way of doing things, right? And from now on, you do like that. Yata dharma, dharme tata bale. As you had a faith in dharma, like that you have bala, faith on this might, this, this muscle power and so on. So he is almost telling him, give up dharma, forget about all this dharma. It's not given you anything, forget it. That's what, Lakshmana is very heavily sort of arguing here. Then, adharmas, he goes even further. Adharmasam shrito dharmo vinashayati raghava sarvametyat yata kamam ka kutsta kurute naraha. It looks like as though he is talking about about us today. This sloka is like that. He says, Adharma samshitaha dharmaha vinashayati raghava. Okay. Sarvam etat yata kamam kakutstha kurute nara. Adharmam samshitaha dharmaha. If dharma joins hands with adharma, what it means is anything other than dharma, which means muscle power, money, you whatever you want to take. Anything other than dharma, if you join like that, vinashayati raghava, that has the can kill, destroy your enemies. Hey Raghava, adharma samshito dharma vinashayati. That dharma which joins hands with all other things, which are all adharma, that will actually, destroy your enemies. Sarvam etat. Sarvam etat vinashayati. Yata kamam kurute naraha. This is how people do. You know that? That's what he says. Yata kamam kurute naraha. People who want to, do things, they do like this. This is how they will do. So he is trying to give him an idea that don't cling on to this dharma. You are just wasting your time. And, the sarva mula nashtaha abhavat. So forget about this is not the way to do. You have to keep talking about dharma, but when you have to, achieve what you want to achieve, you have to give up dharma. It's more or less like that Lakshmana is saying in this 30th shloka. Then, mama chedam matam tatha dharmo yamiti raghava dharma moolam tvaya chinnam rajyamusrujata tada mama cha idam matam tata. This is my opinion. Finally, he says, all this has happened to you. This is my opinion. Idam matam mama matam tata. I am dharmam iti raghava. I think that is the way we have to go. This is my view. I'm sorry to tell you, this is what it is. You are all hopelessly clinging on to some nonsense. They're all nice to talk, but then, this is not the way to go. You have been simply clinging on to something. That's what he is saying. And mama matam cha idam tata dharmaha ayam iti mama raghava. So, this is the way I would do. Then he makes one statement. Look at that statement. He says, Tvaya dharma moolam chinnam. You destroyed dharma. He says, you destroyed dharma. Tvaya dharmam, at the root, dharma moolam chinnam. You destroyed the very roots of dharma. How? Rajyam usrijata tada. You gave up the kingdom at that point in time. He is going back to the, maybe the 20th or 21st sarga of Ayodhya Kanda. He said the same thing there. He said, Dasharatha, our old man, he doesn't know. Within the 4 walls, we'll finish Kaikeyi and all, we'll fix her. That's not the way. I think you should rule the country. Like that, he told. He more or less is bringing that. He says, the day you give up the kingdom and then came out, you have destroyed dharma. See how harshly he is commenting on Rama. No, the harshness of all these comment is because of the gravity of what he found. So that is, I'm going to, after I tell all these, we'll have to also analyze it. So that is the importance of these shlokas. So dharma moolam toya chinnam rajyam usrijata tada. At that time, you gave up the kingdom. And by giving up the kingdom, you actually hit at the root of dharma, and we have landed here. It is a series of nonsense that has happened, and we have landed here finally. Is what finally he gave his verdict. And then he said something even more damaging. Atena hi vimuktasya purushasya vichidyante kriya sarva grishme kusarito yatha. Artena hi vimuktasya. Somebody who is devoid of the wherewithal, means the wealth, artha. Somebody who says, dharma is very important, I'll give up all my wealth and so on. So artena vimuktasya purushasya alpachetasah, they are small minded. They don't have a proper thinking. Alpachetasya vichidyante kriyaha. All the work we get only chidyante. It gets interrupted, it gets cut, it gets halfway, it is not done properly. Vichidyante kriyaha sarvaha. How? Grishme kusarito yata. Just like in the summer season, the small little big, Brahmaputra and Ganges will not dry up. But there are small rivulets and small, small channels, they are all will dry up. They are all very small. They don't have a longer this thing. So like that, without artha, artena hi vimuktasya purushasya alpachetasah sarvaha kriyaha vichidyante. All their actions are all of useless. They don't bear the fruit. Soyamartam parityajya sukakama sukaiditah papamarabate kartum tata dosha pravartate. Very insightful shlokas actually at one level. So ayam artam parityajya. Some people what they do is they give up the wealth. Because they are half baked. He says they are half baked. They don't understand the things properly. Artam parityajya, but sukha kamaha. But in the heart of the heart, they have some desires. Sukhaiditaha, right? They were all brought up by a sense of comfort, and then suddenly they gave up. He's saying you are in a palace, and Sita was in a palace. You give up all that, and you came. Okay, in a way, he's saying like that. Sukha kamaha papam arabate kartum tata doshaha pravartate. So because they are sukha kamaha, they have given up their wealth and all that, but they want kama. They have desires. When people have desires and when they don't have the wealth, what happens? Papam arabate kartum. That's where they get into the trap. Papam arabate kartum tata. At that time, doshaha pravartate. This is when wrong things start happening. So he is saying so many things you did were wrong in some ways. But leaving aside that, this shloka is a very important shloka. It says when people give up, if they don't give up their kama, but they give up anything else other than kama, then papam arabate kartum tata doshaha pravartate. That is what will happen. That's why akama kami is very important. As long as we have desires, you cannot give up the purusharthas. Wrongly giving up purusharthas will only induce a level of sin in us. So that's what he says. Then he says, he is really blasting throughout. Look at what he's saying. Yasyartas tasya mitrani, yasyarta tasya bandavah, yasyarta sapuman loke, yasyarta sacha panditah. Let me read the next sloka also. Yasyarta sacha vikrantah, yasyarta sacha buddhiman, yasyarta cha mahabhago, yasyarta sa gunadikah. In two shlokas, he says you cannot give up riches. You need wealth. And he says, what is he saying? Yasyarta tasya mitrani. If you have wealth, you have money, you have friends with you. Friends will gather around you. Yasyarta tasya mitrani. Yasyarta tasya bandavaha. Your near and relatives will be by your side. Which Shankaracharya also said it in Bhajagovindam also. He says, when you have riches, people will be by your side. Yasyarta tasya bandavaha. Yasyartaha sapuman loke. He has, his offsprings, his sandati, vriddhi, all that will happen only when you have wealth. Yasyarta sapuman loke. Yasyartaha sapchapanditaha. One who has riches is the one who is also a pandita, a learned man. Then he says, Yasyarta sacha vikrantaha. Okay, he is quite mighty. Nobody can, play with him. Yasyartaha sacha vikrantaha. Yasyarta sacha buddhiman. Person with whom has riches, he is also buddhiman. He is a very prudent man. Yasyartha sacha mahabhagah. He is very lucky fellow, one who has riches. Yasyartha sa gunadikaha. So a person who has wealth also is the one who has all the good distinguished personality he is. He has all those noble qualities with him and so on. So he, in these two shlokas, he says by giving up the kingdom, by throwing the kingdom because your father said and this, that, and all that, ripped you off of all your riches. And because you ripped you off of all your riches, what has happened is nothing is with you now. And that has caused all these damages for you. It's all collateral damages for you in some ways because you have given up everything, which is all wrong. Yasyartha dharma kamartah tasya sarvam pradakshinam adanenartha kamena nartha shakyo vichinvata. Yasya artaha dharma kamartaha tasya sarvam pradakshinam. A man who has wealth and dharma and kamartha, he will get only when he has the artha, dharma kamartha astasya. He will be able to get dharma and kama. That's what he is saying. Kama artha astasya sarvam pradakshinam. Everything will come only if he has this riches with him. Adanena arthakamena, one who has no wealth, arthakamena, but he wants to, get artha and kama. Na arthaha shakyaha vichinvata. He cannot earn any of these. It is not possible to attain. So he says you have to start with wealth and then create more wealth. I mean, I don't understand this logic, but that is what he is saying. He's saying you start with wealth and go with more wealth. Okay. Then he says, Harsha kamascha darpascha dharma krodha shamodamaha artha detani sarvani pravartante naradhipa. Artha Arthat etani arthadetani. In the second line, arthat etani. That has become in sandhi arthadetani. Arthat etani sarvani pravartante. Hey Naradhipa, only when you have riches, all these will come to you. What are those which will come to you? That is there in the first line. Harsha. Harsha is being very delightful, very, prosperously happy and so on. Kamascha, sensual pleasure. Darpascha, pride. Dharma, he says even the sense of dharma we will have only when you have artha. Krodha, you can afford to have anger because you are the Swami now, right? Shamaha and Damaha, all control and all that will come only through artha. I mean, this is a view which Lakshmana has taken. Lakshmana has taken a view. So Lakshmana was it was like a volcano erupting. All these are, his frustrations coming out after seeing a fake Sita being lying here dead. So basically, he has said that hell with this dharma. This dharma doesn't manifest, it doesn't exist because it has not given you anything. And then he said, you reach this stage because you gave up your wealth. And then he argues, without wealth, nothing is possible. In fact, many of us in modern world have this kind of thinking. While at one level we will say dharma, dharma and all that, finally we will come here. So that's why I'm saying Lakshmana is a representative of each one of us. When a catastrophe, hits us, these kinds of emotions sometimes come strongly in some of us. So he has brought that. So I have merely presented what Lakshmana's frustrations are. In some way, it is only a Stulartha that we have seen. We must see some of the implications of what is coming through this. This is very important for us. But in order to do that, we should first know what is contained in it. That's why all these shlokas we have seen. So in the next class, when we meet, I want to actually analyze the tatparya here and any psychology that we need to learn from here, what is going on here. All that we will continue, and we'll also see what Rama has to say. All that anyway we will see in the next class that we are going to have. I think with this we will complete with our Mangala Shloka. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्य परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितो ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः अपुत्रा पुत्रिणः सन्तु पौत्रिणः अधना सधना सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदां शतम् शृण्वन् रामायणं भक्त्या यत्पादं पदमेव वा स याति ब्रह्मणस्थानं ब्रह्मणा पूज्यते सदा हरिः ओम्. Most probably we will not have the next week and maybe the week after also. I think the 2 weeks because of Navaratri I will have my Parayana and I will have a little bit of I will engage in other things. So most probably I don't think we are going to have the next 2 classes. Okay. Shubharatri.